Hello, welcome to Vardhan's Tech Hub. In this video, we will discuss about what is an IP address and the classification of IP addresses. Let's start. IP address is a logical address which is assigned to each computer or each device in a network to send and receive the information. IP address classification. Here we know the IP addresses are starting from 0.0.0.0.02. We have till 255.255.255. Among these IP addresses, we have these IP addresses are classified into five classes: Class A, B, C, D, and E. The IP addresses are starting from 0 to 126 is called Class A. 127 is the loopback IP address, and starting from 128 to 191 is a Class C. 192 to 223 is for Class D, and from 224 to 239 it's a Class D, and 240 to 255.255 it's a Class E subnet. Okay, 0 to 126 is a Class A, 127 is the Class B, and 128 0.0.0 to 191.255.255.255 is a Class B classification, and from 192 to 223 it's a Class C, and from 224 to 239 it's for Class D, and from 240 to 255.255 it's a Class E subnets. Okay, so here it's detailedly mentioned. Among them, we have 127 series IP addresses, which is nowhere mentioned in the classification because it's a loopback IP addresses, which is not comes under these classes. Uh, and here Class A, B, C, these addresses are used for general purpose. Like if any organization it is using, for any organization, if you want to assign an IP address, we have to use A, B, C IP addresses only. But in case of Class D and Class E, it is used for some different purpose. Class D subnets are used for multicast traffic, and Class C addresses are used for research and development. Okay, so here only if any thing which is required for multicast traffic. Okay, so in the world, so only for those they provide the Class D addresses for them, and Class C it is for only research and development. They will use this IP addresses. This is about IP address classification. Among A, B, C, D, E, we have five. I can say five types of classification, right? So among them, from Class A, B, C, some IPs are taken over as a private IPs. Okay, these IP addresses are assigned to internal network, I can say. So, suppose we have an organization. Inside an organization will be having n number of computers, right? So to assign an IP address to these computers or this device which is available in the network, I can say inside organization we have to use the private IPs. Okay, so here from Class A, 10.0.0.0 to 10.255.255.255, it almost covered these many number of hosts to assign in the network. Okay, from Class B, again from 172.16.0.0 to 172.31.255.255, this cover this many hosts. Okay, from Class C, again 192.168.0.0 to 192.168.255.255. Okay, so these IP addresses are classified into private IP addresses. These private IP addresses can be assigned inside of the organization, and outside of the organization it can't work. That is how it is designed by IANA, I can say. So here private IP is assigned to each network device or host connected to the internet. Okay, and here these IPs are it's unique IP addresses inside the organization. Okay, suppose we are having organization. Okay, we won't use the repeat of these IP addresses. Okay, we can use all these IP addresses, but it can't be repeated, it can't be duplicated. Okay, and private IPs are used within the network. Okay, because these IPs can't be routable with the external network. This is about private IP addresses and public IP addresses. Except private IP addresses, everything we can call it as a public IP addresses. And these public IP addresses can be accessed directly over the internet. And these public IP addresses will be provided by your internet service provider, that is ISP. Okay, public IP addresses are assigned to the network device. We can say the router by internet service provider. How these internet service provider will get public IP addresses? These guys has to purchase from IANA. And like when you are trying to access any internet, okay, you are this is an organization. There are many computers or hosts are there. If these guys are trying to access internet, these private IP addresses are assigned to them, but it can't be routable over the internet. That's why in the router or the any firewall, okay. So these private IP addresses will be mapped to a public IP addresses to access internet, because public IPs are routable over the internet, but not the private IPs, right? So that's why private IPs are converted to a public IP address while accessing the internet. Okay, so here if you can see, your private IP address is hidden while accessing the internet. Hidden means like it's a mapping, I can say. Private IP addresses are mapped to a public IP addresses, and the public IP address assigned to the your router. Okay. So as I mentioned, other than private IP address, everything we can call it as a public IP address. This is about public IPs. So as I mentioned earlier, consider this is an organization. Okay, and inside an organization, every device, there is a mobile or the tablet or the laptop or any desktop also. Okay, here it's assigned with private IP addresses. So if you remember, we have the private IP addresses starting from class A 10 dot series, 10 dot series, I can say 10.0.0.0 to 10.255.255.255. And from class B, we have starting from 172.16 to 0.0 to 172.31.255.255. And from class C, we have 192.168.0.0 to 192.168.255.255. So here if you can see, these devices are assigned with a private IP addresses from class C. Okay, so here if you can see 1.1, 1.2, 1.3 and 1.4. So these are connected in a single subnet or single network, I can say. So when these guys are trying to access any internet, suppose google.com they're trying to access, so then what's happening? The traffic is coming through this Wi-Fi router, and from here, as these private IP addresses are not routable over the internet, these IPs are mapped with a public IP address. This is here. Okay, these public IP addresses, it is managing by ISP, internet service provider, and with the help of this IP addresses, they'll be able to access the internet. And let's see, what is the differences between private IP and public IP addresses. Okay, so here if you can see a public IP address, which is used over the external network, that is WAN, because only public IPs are routable over the internet, right? That's why it can be used only in external of the network. Okay, in case of private IP, it should be within the network. And why we are using public IPs in the external network? Because it can be recognized over the internet. But in case of private, it can't be recognized over the internet. And moreover, these public IPs are unique over the world, I can say. So there won't be any duplicate IP addresses. But in case of private IP addresses, these private IPs are unique within the LAN. Okay. Suppose here we have an organization called ABC. So here they are using private IP addresses. Those it should be unique. There won't be any duplicated. We have one more organization called XYZ. Here we have one more organization called XYZ. Okay. So XYZ, what happening? So here they have organization. They are also using private IP addresses. So here if you can see in ABC network, yeah, the ABC company, they're having list of private IP addresses that can't be repeated inside organization. But the same private IP addresses, another organization also can use that. So in this organization, this private IP addresses, it should be unique. That's it. Okay. So we can say private IP are unique within a network or the LAN. Okay, and public IPs are paid. Okay, so these public IPs are managing by IANA. Okay, and these are routable over the internet, right? So that's why we have to pay some money to the internet service provider. Okay, so we can say it's a paid one, but in case of private, it's a free of cost. We can use anything, whatever we want in the organization. But at the end of the time, we want to go to access internet. These private IP addresses are mapped with the public IP addresses. Okay, so we need to take ISP help here. And these public IP addresses are provided by network administrator. Okay, and it's like, you know, we can say it's a reverse, I can say. Okay, so these public IP addresses provided by IANA and private IP addresses are assigned by network administrator. It's reverse here. Okay, this has to come here, this is to be here. Okay, and when it comes to public IP, you know, private IP addresses, okay, I know we have the starts ranging from, this is the public IP address and this is the private IP address. Okay, by mistake it has been mentioned like this. Consider that these 2 points, this comes to private IP addresses. Private IP addresses are assigned by network administrator, and this is the range of private IP address what we have. And these are the public IPs. Okay, public IPs are assigned by IANA, and these are the ranges of public IP addresses. This is about, you know, the differences between private IP and public IPs. Thank you.